Hey friends, a little bit later in the day today, making this video than it has been the last few days because I started off my morning a little bit differently and did get a chance to do this. So a couple of things I'll tell you real quick, show you before I just read a passage and share a little bit with you guys. Got a new shirt. Let me tell you about this shirt in just a minute. Had to spend a little time today, went and watched my nephew Charlie pitch in the Little League World Series, and that was kind of cool. And then Jonathan and I ran to Big Sandy, Texas, and bought about probably $3,000 worth of this rock stuff that we're going to use to kind of do the underpinning on the sides of the house. This part of the house is going to have kind of a rock underpinning along the edge, and then a batten board siding all the way around. So it's going to look kind of cool when it's over with. Hopefully, I think. So the other day, by the way, I'll just tell you a little bit more about this house real quick. This was Debbie's grandmother's house, built in the 50s, I think. And had 7-foot ceilings, and man, I was like, no, I want to do that. So we have kind of redesigned, rebuilt, just kind of taking our time, living in this camper while we were working on this stuff, but it's been good. I'll tell you more about it as we progress and just kind of move through things later. The other day when I did one of the first devotions, like the second day, somebody commented and said, I love that shirt. Well, it was Laura Mangum. She's the one who gave me the shirt that I was wearing that day because it was about their goat ranch or whatever. And so I just texted her and said, hey, I need a new one because there's a hole in my armpits. And she messaged me when I was coming back from a class I was teaching. And she said, I got you 2 more shirts. And so when I went to get it, I stopped by her house, and here's this one. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. And I'm like, that's not a, when I left, I looked at it and I thought, that's not a Mangum Ranch shirt, but it is. I didn't see this on the sleeve for a little while. Thank you so much, Laura Mangum. By the way, if I can have the presence of mind to do this later, you want to know what she does, what they do, there's a little barcode thing that they have. I'll take a picture of it and put it in my comments, and you can just kind of check out what they do. 100,000 other things I'd love to tell you, but for the sake of time, let me just get to the chase. Reading today from Psalm 77. The psalmist was talking about a bunch of junkies going through tough stuff, hard times, and but then he's trying to be encouraged. He's trying to ask the Lord for help, and he makes this statement in the middle of that. He says, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I'm going to remember your wonders of old. I will also meditate on all your work and talk of your deeds. Your way, O God, is in the sanctuary. Who is so great a God as our God? And he just goes through saying, but you know what? I'm going to look back and remember. I'm feeling like right now, that was official. But I'm going to look back and remember all the things that God has done historically through my life. And rather than view my life through the lens of this moment, let me view my life through the realistic lens of the way that God has done me all my life overall. Let me encourage you to do that. Sometimes you get in a situation where it's like, but you know, don't view your circumstance in life based on just one moment in time or a feeling. Let your peace come from his consistency and who he is. And remind yourself, sometimes you need to look back and see the big picture. What all has he done for you? And be thankful for those things. As a matter of fact, in Psalm 107, about 4 or 5 times, he makes this same statement. And the statement is this. You'll find it in verse 8. I find it in verse 15. I find it in verse 21. I find it again over in verse 31. I don't even know if I marked down all the times I find it. But the psalmist in Psalm 107 is talking about the things that God has done, looking back and thinking about all the things he's done and giving thanks to him because of all his great works of deliverance. And then, you know, in Psalm 107, starting verse 6, he said, they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them out of all their distresses. He led them forth by the right way, that they might go to a city for a dwelling place. And then verse 8, and all those other verses I just mentioned a while ago, says, oh, that men would give thanks to the Lord for his goodness and for his wonderful works to the children of men. For he satisfies the longing soul. He satisfies the longing soul and fills the hungry soul with goodness. Over and over. See, he starts right after that and starts going through a list. You know, by the way, he did this. He did that. He did this. He's done that. Now, did I think about it? Well, he did this so many years ago. Well, he did this last month. And then he says again in verse 15, oh, that me. And by the way, when you're reading something, and one phrase gets repeated in one chapter, word for word, 4 or 5 times, man, take a close look at that. Here's the cry of God through the heart of his servant, the psalmist. He says, oh, that men would give thanks to the Lord for his goodness and for his wonderful works to the children of men. Over and over, he says that. And that's his instruction by his Spirit, from his word to us. Oh, that men would give thanks to the Lord for his goodness. It's again, I'll read verse 31. Oh, that men, this is Psalm 107, would give thanks to the Lord for his goodness and for his wonderful works to the children of men. I don't always feel that. I don't always see that. But if I'll stop and look for it, I'll find it. And if I'll thank him for what he has done, I don't have to stop at thanking him for yesterday. I can go ahead and thank him today for what he gonna do tomorrow, because I know he's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and he's trustworthy. And let me just wrap this up by reading you the last verse in Psalm 107. Listen to what the word of the Lord says. Whoever is wise will observe these things, and you will understand the loving kindness of the Lord. Wisdom precludes that as the wisdom of God settles into your life, you'll begin to observe the constant nature of God over the course of years and know that he didn't let you get this far and gonna drop you now. So no matter what you're struggling with or where you are, if you're struggling, there's a hard spot. Man, if you're at a good spot, write it down and tell some folk about it. That's what all the other Psalms I read today said, man, talk about his goodness. Tell them stories to the people around you. Exalt him, but look for them. And he that's wise will observe these things and will understand the loving kindness of God. Part of that plays out in realizing that no matter what happens, no matter what we go through, no matter what he allows us to experience, he really does use all things. He works all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. If I love him and I'm called according to his purpose, I want to be wise enough to observe what he has done and stop and give thanks to the Lord for his goodness and his wonderful works to the children of men. It's been a long one, but thank you guys for all of your encouragement. I hope you find this encouraging. Bless you. I'll drop you a line tomorrow.